Good afternoon to you. Maybe good evening to you from wherever you are joining us. It is brunch time with Mayegun. Apologies for the late start, by the Thank you so much for joining me as usual. Read the caption of this broadcast, the description of the broadcast, like it, share it, invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends, and tell all of them that it is brunch time with Mayegun. So, Mayegun today.
Glory Facebook. And yes,
you know, the brunch time with Mayegun is like the snippets to what is still probably to come later tonight. So please hear this broadcast. Tell your friends, not so friendly friends. Tell them that we Mayegun today. Nigeria is a place where the foreign investors have been avoiding like a scorch. In the last 17 months of Tifnumbu and his 48 thieves, rogues, criminals, they have only been able to attract $29 million investment to the giant of Africa, where Rwanda is very smaller country, has attracted more than $6 billion worth of investment under the same period. Thank you. So, good morning to you once again. Good afternoon to you. And good evening to you from wherever you are joining us. It is brunch time with Mayegun. And if you have read the caption of the broadcast, the description of the broadcast, you should by now have an idea what we will be talking about this hour. It is with Wike again, and people like him. Nigeria is a place that you can call a lawless place. And since APC, Egbekegbe, took over power in that country or contraption, they have turned the law on its head. It is more or less like worse than a jungle, because in the jungle, animals will never make the weakest of them to lead them. It is impossible. Therefore, it is only a banana republic where you have rogues that should be in prison are the ones making laws, interpreting or executing the law, and the people are to suffer for it. That has been the fate of Nigeria in the hands of these criminals. Where Wike has been accused of land grabbing in Abuja repeatedly. The most famous of them all before now was the land he took from a businessman in Abuja. Because according to Were Wike, how did an Igbo man manage to acquire this much land? If it is not by corruption, it must be by other shady means. Therefore, he wasn't interested in all of the papers. You know, normally in Nigeria, when government issue you paper, I'm talking about documents to certify that your land is approved by government. That is the document you can take anywhere, okay? But not in Nigeria anymore. Nigeria of Tifnumbu and his gang is a Nigeria of criminals of all kinds. So you can be holding a government document, no matter how original it is, the likes of Wike and his gang, they will, they will turn it into an illegitimate document because they are the government, man. You see, if you owed something, it was supposed to kind of outlive every kind of government. You know, it doesn't matter which government issued you that document, as long as it says issued by the federal government or state government or that government, it becomes legally binding. And if it is going to change, there should be a legal, pronouncement, like a court. A court can pronounce and say, this document is fake. That is not what you have in Nigeria. Last weekend, Wike, after his meltdown in Rivers State, was back in Abuja. Remember, for those who are not really much familiar with their game, let me give you a background. In Nigeria, and then you say, when you follow the political journey of Tifnumbu, the political journey of Wike, they are so similar in kind and in act. When Tifnumbu was the governor of Lagos State, he did something. Tifnumbu would take people's land with the promise that he is taking the land for development, only for Tifnumbu to either reallocate the land to who? To judges. A lot of people didn't know at the time that the judiciary, that the cancer, the cancerous tumor, corruption that has now eaten so deep all over, the judiciary all over Nigeria today, actually has his foothold in Lagos. Back then, Tifnumbu would not only just influence the emergence of judges, even outside his jurisdiction in Lagos, but he ensured that he will become judges in Lagos. We're supposed to be at his fingertip. And how did he do that? Tifnumbu would take people's lands, reallocate such land to judges. For example, a judge that is being paid 50,000 naira salary, 100,000 naira salary, would have a plot or 2 or 3 or 4 plots of land in Lekki or in these choice expensive areas of Lagos, because they are gifts. They are gifts given to them by Tifnumbu. And also, Tifnumbu will build houses and just gifted them to judges in a way that they will always remember that they owe him. They always owed the landlord of Lagos. And so many people who have become victims of this, so many families, and many family lands were been taken in Lagos. Today, some of those lands were resold by those judges. Some of them they actually resold the land to make quick bucks because Tifnumbu gave it to them as gifts. And then you will get to see all the judgments that are always mostly in his favor. Before Nigeria could understand what was going on, Tifnumbu has already had his way. Judges, some of them were even given appointments in his government. I'm talking about appointments like, give me your son. Oh, did you say your son just graduated? Oh, did you say your son wants to go to school in America? I can work that out. And this was, this is how so many judges in Lagos became indebted to Tifnumbu, and he will always get a favorable judgment from them. Any of the judges that that tried not to follow Tifnumbu's dictates, in any case, they will burn down the court. He did that many times. Similarly, Wike in Rivers State is famous for collecting people's lands, especially lands allocated to people, markets, groups and all that, by governments, by his own predecessors, the governments before him. Wike would take their lands, right? And then he would reallocate them to judges, to police commissioners, whoever is ready to play balls in Rivers State. And at a point, it was building mansions, like it was building judges that all over Rivers State. All of this kind of made the judges in Rivers State as well indebted to him. Politicians have been doing this also across Nigeria. But you see, these two, they have always been famous. So they've been famous for land grabbing, taking people's lands, and all that. So last weekend, Wike was in his elements, right? Where he publicly bragged that he invited the Julius Berger. You know, Julius Berger has been part of Nigeria construction, this and that, for decades, right? So Wike said he was looking around and he asked people that who owns this land? And they said, oh, that's Julius Berger. This one is owned by this. That one is owned by that. I was like, how did Julius Berger get this land allocated to them in Abuja, in this area? Well, we are taking it because we need to build houses for judges in Abuja. Because to them, right, the judiciary, if you really want to control the levels of power in this their own type of democracy, you need to take over the police, take over the military, make sure you control the INEC, they're supposed to conduct elections, and then take over the judges, the courts. If you can get hold of all that, your political opponents, they can go and try whatever they want to try. Okay? It will all end in your favor. But Nigeria is a place that is looking for, looking for investors, okay? And no investor will go to a country where you can wake up tomorrow and a politician, by a pronouncement, will take over your business. They've had businesses of people that have been aggressively taken over as well. Some have to quickly sell off whatever they could sell, cut their losses, and left Nigeria. So the likes of Wike publicly bragged about this. And then the supposed criminal chief justice of Nigeria, that woman, immediately, remember that Wike got an approval, about 1 trillion naira or so to build judges' quarters, to build 40 houses for judges, which will cost Nigeria about 1 trillion or 1.2 trillion naira. It is all ahead of the 2027, you will say. So you took the land that belongs to a business to go and construct judges' quarters, and then you publicly bragged about that to the point that the rest of the world is watching. Here is that clip of his brag.
When we were looking for where we get such a land to build, and I was driving around looking for empty land, and I got here, I saw this big land. I saw the big post, Julius Berger. So I didn't talk. I called the director of lands. Who owns that land? They said, Julius Berger. When was it allocated? They said about 15, 20 years ago. 15, 20 years ago, nothing has been done. I didn't bother. So I invited the MD, Julius Berger, to come. He came and we had dinner. I didn't talk about the land. So the next day, he was in the office and he saw the revocation letter as a matter of public.
You get that? There's actually a report on it, right? I was driving around. I saw this big land. And I said, who is owner of this? I saw Julius Berger on it. I said, when was it allocated? He said 15, 20 years ago. And they've not done anything on it. He then went on to revoke it. Like, if somebody got allocated land and they paid for their land and they got all the documents signed and delivered, a politician that is, roaming about. Yesterday, somebody said that maybe they are just taking people's lands or something. Sorry, yeah. That very soon they will be moving into your houses. They will be kicking you out of your houses and say, you know what? You are not using this place very well, so we are taking over your house. Watch this. From a proper republic, this is where you're going to see others, so including the Chief Justice, so people who are supposed to uphold the law.
originally belonged to Julius Berger for the purpose of these projects.
When we were looking for where we get such a land to build, and I was driving around looking for empty land, and I got here, I saw this big land. I saw the big post, Julius Berger. So I didn't talk. I called the director of lands. Who owns that land? They said Julius Berger. When was it allocated? They said about 15, 20 years ago. 15, 20 years ago, nothing has been done. I didn't bother. So I invited the MD Julius Berger to come. He came and we had dinner. I didn't talk about the land. So the next day, he was in the office and he saw the revocation letter as a matter of public interest. Mr. President has approved for all the judges in the FCT to have their house owner-occupier.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, flags off the project. She says housing is a critical component beyond the courtroom.
Beyond the courtroom, a supportive and conducive living environment is essential to their ability to focus on the heavy responsibilities entrusted to them.
As we embark on this journey of construction, let us work together to create a space that reflects our values and commitment to justice.
These projects target not less than 1,000 direct and indirect jobs. Of the 40 units, 10 each goes to the Court of Appeal and Federal High Court, while 20 goes to the FCT High Court.
Are the judges homeless? In Abuja, the answer is no. The Nigerian judges in Abuja, they have always been allocated their different houses in different parts of Abuja. But in a Tifnumbu's way and with a Wike's way, they had to build one that will say, this is a gift. Here is a gift to Mr. President after approving 300% salary increase for you. We are also giving you houses, okay? And it is your own for life. Here you get now for the sake of public interest. So they are building 40 different houses, mansions and all that, similar to what he built in Rivers State. For the judges in Rivers. Unfortunately for him, the person who succeeded him in Rivers, because that's his political structure, the one that he is fighting for, that Fubara is going to destroy if they don't kick him out next election. Okay? He has built, you know, they were like, that's how they do. They will allocate land for, or build houses for royal fathers, for judges, and then for some selected individuals in the public, people that will likely say something when they are doing wrong thing. They will be gifted houses. They will be gifted this and gifted that, right? And then you will see the typical Nigerians. How can they allocate land to you for 15 years and you've not developed it? How can you buy a land for 15 years and you have not done anything on it? It is his land. It is my land. If the government says I have cleared all the legal, the legal requirements, it is my land. I can lease it. I can live it. I can build it. So why should any politicians be saying I was driving around? It was the same thing he did for this businessman in Abuja. And guess what? He quickly called the media together to change the story. This was how this one started too. Remember this?
After about 6 hours, the buildings, some of which had got to lintel level, and the fans are all pulled down and left in a heap of rubble. The property is owned by one of the foremost private developers in Abuja, Praco Nigeria Limited, led by Linus and Nicholas Ukachukwu. Ukachukwu claims the demolition was done in bad faith.
Wike called for a meeting over the land. We went with our documents. After I see what we have with our lawyer and the other people's other sunrise, which they get part of that land. And Wike said there is nothing on this, that the court should take effect. After going around the land, his normal ways of behavior. He started shouting, how would they take all this land and give to Igbo man?
According to him, all the legal titles to the property had been obtained, including 2 ministerial approvals, the latest from the erstwhile FCT Minister Bello Muhammad.
He went through all due process, including ministerial approval. We have full final title, certificate, and offer.
A certificate of occupancy?
Yes, offer to certificate of occupancy.
Most alarming, according to him, is that there was no order revoking his rights to the property before the demolition took place.
As I'm talking to you now, we are not receiving any documents. All these things, it's only what we saw, the demolition. The title has not been revoked. We are not being served.
Ukachukwu also insists the action of the Minister of the FCT runs contrary to 2 pending court orders restraining any action by the FCT on the plot of land.
2 separate courts issued different court order restraining him from tampering or doing anything in those property. But all of a sudden today, we can now move all the caterpillars in Abuja and went and started pulling those properties that we have invested billions into down.
He wants President Tinubu to wade into the matter to protect the rights of genuine investors and businessmen.
Calling Mr. President, who I know that has nothing to do with the tribe, to call on the bridge, either he remove this man.
Mister, you have no idea that land grabber versus land grabber. The president is a land grabber. The minister is a land grabber. Their history is very much telling, right? So when the Wike saw a very big, massive land that they are building estates in Abuja, and it was like, who owns this one? And they say, now I want Mr. Ukachukwu Linus or something. Really? How did he manage to get all of this? Well, he bought it. And he's already bought this like years back. He even has 2 ministerial approval, which means the minister before the last one, and then the last minister before this Wike. So Wike called the media together and said, no, the man only took over the land. It's the way he put it, they said he took the land when the last minister left. That means when Bukwari government ended in May 2023, that was when that man took that land. And usually, he loves to kind of talk to himself. And he always believes what he says, and he wants you to believe what he says too. This is what he told the media about that man and the land.
Of all of them, they came with their lawyers, senior advocates. And I said, look, what is this? Company A presented their own. Company B presented their own view. Company C, Company D, Company E. I said, okay. I'm going to seek for advice from external solicitors. I'm not going to take from inside house because the legal secretariat and land department have been so compromised. So I saw the views of very senior lawyers. 2 of them wrote to be different opinions, but arriving at the same thing. First of all, what happened? This land, this so-called ethnic Jugoist talk about, was allocated when there was no minister. The minister left May 29th, 2023. By June, the land had been allocated. By Director of Land.
No, but he said he got approvals from the former FCT minister.
If I tell you so many things, it is not as they, you see, these are the things they are clever by half. When we all met, it's okay. Company B, this, don't do anything again. until we were able to take a final decision. Do you know what happened? These guys, thinking they're too smart, went on, started fencing, and then allocated the land to people to buy. How did I know? A lady came and said, look, Honorable Minister, I want you to advise me. There's a place I want to buy land. I said, where are you buying land? He said, so area. I said, hey,